Good morning, and welcome to the What Inspired Me Today podcast, a podcast created to inspire you to be the very best that you can be. My name is Stephen Matthew, and this is what inspired me today.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. It is an honor and a pleasure to be speaking with you today. This week, I wanted to talk about a topic that's been popping up in my day-to-day life, and it is an important thing to recognize and to develop in, and it is something that we can, in fact, develop in. What I wanted to speak on was about learning to decide and ultimately act on what we can control and what we can't. The quote that I wanted to share with you this week is from the ancient Stoic philosopher Epictetus. He says this: "Some things are in our control, while others are not. We control our opinion, choice, desire, aversion, and, in a word, everything of our own doing. We don't control our body, property, reputation, position, and, in a word, everything not of our own doing. Even more, the things in our control are by nature free, unhindered, and unobstructed, while those not in our control are weak, slavish, can be hindered, and are not our own." Learning what is in our sphere of influence or in our control versus what is not in our control is an important step in our self-development. It is a lesson that we learn time and time again throughout our lives, because at different ages and stages of our life, there will be different circumstances that we face. What it does for us, though, when we learn the difference between what we can control and versus what we can't control, is that it ultimately gives us a sense of freedom. Because as we learn to let go of the things that we can't, and to hold on to the things that we can, and ultimately work with that knowledge, then we can pursue our dreams, we can pursue our goals, and we can then be unhindered in our pursuit of the things that we would like to pursue in our life. So, first off, what is out of our control? Well, the things out of our control, like Epictetus said, are everything that is outside of us. We can't control the actions of others. We can't control the actual future. We can't control how other people think, not only of themselves, but also of us. We can't control what happens around us and the opinions of others. We can't, unfortunately, control the past either. These things are all outside of us. These are external factors. There are some things that are actually within us that we can't actually control either, despite us having some level of agency within there. So things like our vast majority of our emotions and our feelings, even the vast majority of our thoughts, these are things that we can control when we are aware of it, but the vast majority of them are beyond our control. They kind of just happen. When we think about it, we're not often thinking about our actual thoughts. Our thoughts come to us, and then we then ponder upon it if it is worth thinking about. We're not really thinking about our emotions and our feelings. They happen often as a reaction to something that has happened externally, and then we process through it if we want to. That is what we talk about as being within our control. The main thing that all people are affected by is that we can't control the inevitability of aging or illness or injury. We can't control the things that have happened in our past. And ultimately, despite our best efforts, we may not be able to control our future. Now, we can control elements of our future, but we don't know what's going to happen, right? And we don't know what that future may hold. But with all of that said, what is actually in our control? Now, I do want to say that these are potential things that are within our control. The reason why I say that is because we have to take the step of action to actually course correct when we recognize that it is within our control. So, things like our emotions and feelings, when we recognize those emotions and feelings, and we recognize maybe these might not be positive or these might not be beneficial, then that is within our control. Our response to our thoughts are within our control. These are things that we can actually work towards, because once I recognize a thought and recognize the value of that thought, then I can make decisions based on that thought. I might not be able to control my past, but I can control how I respond to my memories and what are the experiences that I gain from it. I might not be able to control my future per se overall, but I can make actionable small steps every day to get towards a goal. And that is something that is within my control. Now, I don't know if the end goal will succeed or not, but I can take steps every single day to try and get there. These are all things that are within our control. Other things that might help us is that you are in control of your own boundaries. You can say yes and no to the things that you want to spend time on, that you want to spend money on, that you want to spend your efforts on. That's within your control. You can control the goals that you actually set. You can control what you give your energy to. Your time and your energy and your efforts are dictated by you. You can control how you handle challenges and how you actually respond. That's the main difference there between things that are out of our control and things that are within our control. How do we respond to them? I might not be able to control what's actually happened, but I can control my response. And as a result of controlling my response, then I can influence the overall outcome. And then finally, the thing that you can control is how do you actually speak to yourself? How do you reflect upon your own thoughts, your own feelings? How do you actually communicate with yourself? I know for myself, I am far better at giving advice. I am far better at seeing other problems and then providing constructive feedback, because it is often easier for us to be able to see someone else and then be able to make judgments based on that, particularly because it is from a third person perspective. We don't have the feelings, we don't have the internal monologue going in our head about our specific situation when we're looking at someone else. However, I don't know about you, but if I am talking to myself, I can be my harshest critic. I can be self-critical. I can judge things way more harshly than I probably would with someone else, because I'm giving them the grace that maybe I should give myself. So how we actually talk to ourselves is important. It is within our control. So how can we actually do this practically? The best way to figure out what is within your control and what is out of your control is to write a list. So take a couple of minutes this week and write down what is within your control. What are the things that you can do today? Now, as you tick off a list, I'm a person who likes making little check boxes and then ticking off things as I get things done. We can then make our goals for the day or for the week and then slowly start ticking them off. As we make actionable steps towards those goals, that is how we succeed in completing them. But then, if something comes up, right? There's something that comes up. Oh, maybe there's a meeting that's come up that was unexpected. It's a-okay. That might have been out of our control. You can write that in a second column about things that may have popped up that were outside of your control. That way, if, for instance, you didn't check a box, if you didn't get something done on the list, you can actually look back on the reason why you weren't able to do it. Now, it's not an excuse per se, but it is showing you what was within your control and what was outside of your control. That will then help you to de-stress and not put so much energy and effort and worry into the things that were outside of your control. In conclusion, I wanted to share with you a very popular prayer that is used by many people around the world. It's called the Serenity Prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. With that said, have a great week.